Okay. Okay. Yes, thank you. Right. Welcome back, everyone. I'm teacher Nathan from Writers at Work. And this afternoon, let's take a look at this 2022 Nan Prelim paper. Okay, so let's take a look at some grammar questions first. Okay, looking at our first question here. He's hardly the person for the job, dash, said the manager, shaking his head. So over here, we're interested in a question tag kind of question. Now, the first keyword we observe, his. So we need to ask ourselves, what does this mean? So his can either mean he is or he has. So looking at our options, can't, can would be out. Next thing, we observe there's a is and a isn't. But if we look at the second keyword here, hardly. Hardly means is not. Alright, so this is a negative connotation. As such, I need the positive connotation on my blank here, which means the answer will be number 1. Alright, so this is one of the most straightforward kind of question, and they are really very kind not to give you the has. Okay, let's move on to question 2. During his stay on the farm, all he did was dash the farmers plow the field. So over here, we are interested in tenses. And next, we observe that there's one action here. He did something. Subsequently, there is a blank, which is also another action word. So we call this verb number 1 and verb number 2 is my blank. Next, we observe that when we have two verbs, we need to use the verbs of perception rule. This means that my second verb needs to be in the base form, while my first verb can be in any form. When I talk about base form, it is present tense and plural. As such, we only have one answer to choose, which is number 1. All he did was watch the farmers plow the field. Now looking at the other options, watches here is plural and singular. Watched, this is past tense. And watching, this is in the continuous form. Alright, so this is also again very lenient because we do not have any more interesting tenses that we will see later. Alright, come, let's take a look at question 3 now. Catherine's knowledge of computers dash so extensive that everybody wants her to be in their project group. Okay, so over here, they are testing you on a subject-verb agreement question. The first thing we observe is her knowledge. Her knowledge is singular because it's only one person's knowledge. And you can see the subsequent keyword is everybody wants. So this is a present tense. As such, these two keywords would link us to only one answer, which is number 1. The knowledge is so extensive. Moving on, let's take a look at question 4. The studious boy persevered, despite being told he was making dash progress in his work. So over here, we're interested in determiners. Determiners are your words that convey certain quantity of something. Now looking at our some of our keywords, you could see the word is despite. So there is a contrast. The boy is persevering, he's trying his best. But when you talk about despite, it means that the results do not match his effort. So the progress here, the quantity must be quite low. Next thing, we observe progress is actually uncountable. As such, these two criteria will point us to our answer, which is he is making little progress. Because little here is uncountable. Now for our learning purpose, let's take a look at the other options too. The first one is few. Few is countable. There are a few boys in the classroom. Next, we have some. Some here can be used as a countable or uncountable subject, determinant, sorry. Some of the boys were playing a fool in the classroom. Countable. Please take out some flour for me. That is uncountable. Lastly, we have several. Several is countable. Several of the boys reported to the teacher that they were feeling unwell. All right. Now, moving on, let's take a look at question 5. I am teaching at Everett Enrichment Center. Dash is just a stone's throw away from your school. So we are interested in pronouns. And the first thing we observe is that Everett Enrichment Center is a non-human being. So we can't be using pronouns for humans. So the only word we can use is number 2, which. Now looking at our other pronouns, who here is in the subject form. Whom is object form, and where tells me a location. All right. So we'll use where when there is a very specific place, not so general like a stone's throw away. Your stone's throw away means very near, but how near? All right. Now for who and whom, I'll give you 2 example sentences to illustrate my point. Okay, the first one, the boy who won the contest is my brother. So you can see the one here is your verb, it's your action word. So the boy is engaging in this action. As such, who replaces the subject of the sentence, because your subject has to be carrying out some action. Looking at the second example here, the policeman who we caught is here. So you can see we is linked to my verb. So we is my subject. And who is the recipient of this action? The policeman. So the policeman is the object of the sentence. And you can see that the whom here is used to replace my object of the sentence. That's why we call this the object form. While the boy, when you're replacing it, is the boy that is the subject of the sentence needs a subject form of a pronoun. Alright. So I'll just give everyone some time to take in the information for this first 5 questions before we move on. Cow 3793, which of the options do you want? Which of the questions would you like to take a look? Okay, I'll slowly scroll down. So if as you take in the information, do sound out if you cannot see. All right. If there are no further questions, then let's move on further. So now moving to question 6. I did not know how long the poor old man dashed there and decided to offer him a sandwich. So over here, the tenses question get more and more interesting. Okay, so the first thing that we observe is for question 6, did not know. So this is already in the past tense. And you can see that the old man sitting there, this have also occurred in the past. And this action has started first, this event number 1, followed by event 2, when the author saw the old man that is sitting there and wondered to himself how long the old man has been sitting there. Okay, so 2 actions that happened in the past, and event 1 is still occurring when event 2 occurred. So with that in mind, let's take a look at the options. The first one, sat. This is past tense. Had sat. This is past perfect. So past perfect means that one action occurred before the second took place. Now was sitting. This is past continuous. Which means that my action was continuing sometime in the past. While had been sitting, this is past perfect continuous. Which means that one action was ongoing. When second action occurred. So if we look at our sentence here, one action was ongoing. The old man that was sitting there. It happened in the past. And as this old man was sitting there and doing nothing, the author started wondering what happened. And this refers to my second action that occurred. Okay. So in this case, we'll be using option number 4. Alright, so I'll say that this question is slightly more challenging, especially for our friends who are not really familiar with the different tenses and the different permutations of the actions that happened in the past. Right, but I think that being said, we need to slowly understand the use of each of these words, then we'll get better at it. Okay, so just a point to take note, side point for number 3 was sitting. So when we look at a past continuous tense, we're looking at just one action. So the pro tip is when you see that there's like multiple actions that are happening inside the text, you already know this is an outright wrong answer that you should not even look at. All right, so let's go on. Question 7 now. The flight dashed in half an hour. We had better hurry, mother reminded us. So for this question here, we are interested in tenses again. Now looking at the question, half an hour. So this half an hour is an action that hasn't happened. Action not taken place yet. Okay, so there is no way that we're going to put this in the past tense. Now looking at our options, the first one is leaves. Leaves, this is present tense and singular. Has left, this is present perfect. What is present perfect? This basically means that my action is completed, but the effect is still felt. Okay, if I answer from Fang side, no, the answer is not number 4. Remember, the action hasn't taken place yet. But for number 4 here, we are looking at something that happened in the past. Third one, was living. Was living is in past continuous tense. This means that my action is continuing sometime in the past. Lastly, when you talk about would live, this is in the what you call a second conditional form. So we are looking at something in the present, which is impossible to happen, as it is untrue. Let me give you an example. If I had his number, I would call him. So you can see in this case here, you would call the person if you had his number. But the fact of the matter is you don't have the number, so it's impossible for you to call him. But for this case here, you can see that the flight leaving is half an hour is affirmative, is something that will definitely happen. As such, my answer would be number 1. Okay, so that's why you see the term is conditional. That means it's something that wouldn't happen. We're looking at a hypothetical event. Alright, so I hope everyone is clear on this so far. Alright, and moving on, let's take a look at question number 8 now. The contestant was disqualified for not adhering the rules and regulations. So over here, we are interested in prepositions. Prepositions are basically your words that convey the meaning of the height, the location, and the relationship between subjects. So looking at the keywords here, they are adhering. That is, they need to follow. And what must you follow? You need to follow a particular direction, a particular rules that point you to certain actions or things that you should not do. Right? The rules and regulations. So with that in mind, let's take a look at some of the options. The first one is to. To here shows a direction or something. Direction of location or something. Right? By shows a source or a method. I went to school by bus, so that's a method. The chicken rice was bought by mother, so we are looking at who bought the chicken rice. For is in support of someone. I bought the chicken rice for sister. That means I'm helping her with settling her meal. Over shows a certain height. The airplane flew over the building. Alright, so for this case here, we're looking at a particular direction. The rules point you to a certain direction and certain kinds of behavior that is accepted. Right, so when you adhere, you need to adhere to the rules. Alright. Now let's take a look at question 9. Pick what you like. It doesn't have to be something dashed by us. My parents assured me. Alright, so you can see we are looking at parents assured. Okay, sorry. The first thing is we observe this is a tenses question once again. And the first thing we observe is assured. Assured here is in past tense. Right, and the fact is when the parents ask you to choose something, probably they are afraid that the author thinks the parents already have made up their mind or something, right? The parents expressing the kind of preference or something must have occurred first, followed by the parents assuring the author. So you can see that there are two different actions that occur in the past, one after the other. Alright, so in that case, we always need to look at the participle form, which means our answer would be number 3. Doesn't need to be something chosen by us. Now let's take a look at the other options for our learning. Right, so you can see option 2 and option 4, these are present tense, just that option 4 here is singular. Chose, past tense. Okay, so this is a very straightforward question. The markers are, so as mentioned earlier, they are lenient in the sense that they don't give you those more difficult tenses. Okay, last question for grammar here. Dash, the holiday was a short one. We enjoyed ourselves tremendously. So you can see when a holiday is short, maybe you will not enjoy as much because like very fast the holiday will be done. But you can see the funny thing is they enjoyed themselves very much. Hello, who is this? Oh, Taylor Swift. Hello, Taylor Swift. All right. So you can see there's that kind of contrast. When a holiday is short, you may not enjoy as much, right? Also look at the options given to us. You can see that all of them are conjunctions. What are conjunctions? Conjunctions are basically your words that connect different pieces of information in a sentence together. All right, so looking at option 1, wow shows a certain contrast. Okay, unless shows a certain criteria. Last, thirdly, whereas shows a comparison to earlier fact, and whereas usually is in the middle of sentence. All right, and in spite of, this is also used to show contrast. Okay, see, Taylor Swift gives me answer number 4. Okay, but just take note, when you want to use in spite of, it needs to be used before one fact that makes it surprising. Okay, and usually this is followed by a noun or pronoun. Okay, so this question is slightly tougher in the sense that there are a few of the options that convey the same meaning, and in this case, the idea of a contrast or comparison. All right. Now, for Taylor Swift, your answer is not correct. Okay, so for this case here, we will say, wow, the holiday was a short one. Okay, so because I wouldn't say that this first fact about being short will make the second fact that you enjoy yourself very surprising. Okay, the idea of making something very surprising needs to be very clear cut. For example, in spite of being outnumbered, the soldiers at the Battle of Pasir Panjang fought tenaciously and prevented the Japanese troops from attacking further inland. So there needs to be that kind of shocking fact, something surprising. When you have a small manpower, it's very likely that the troops will surrender or the enemy will overrun them. All right, so in that case, where we have more facts and contextual clues, then we will use in spite of. If not, we will use the first one, wow. Okay, because this is a more general conjunction. All right, with that, I've come to the end of this first part. I'll just give everyone some time to take in the information before we move on. If you have any questions, do feel free to be like Taylor Swift and ask them in the chat. Alright, so if there are no further questions, let's move on to our vocabulary section. Now, question 11. The pain on my ankle gradually dash. Soon, I will be able to walk without the aid of a walking stick. So you can see the keyword here is pain, and how this pain is being reduced over the days. Okay, so you can see that there's evidence about how the author don't need to use walking stick anymore. So looking at the options, when something wears on, that means the time passes slowly, or rather very slowly. All right. The next one, wore off. Wore off means the feeling gradually disappear. Wore out means you become very tired. Okay, V means very. Wore away means something becomes thin and disappear after repeated use. So for example, your shoe, at the bottom of your shoe, your sole, right? When you first buy the shoe, you will see that there are a lot of pattern, a lot of designs. But after some time, the pattern and the grooves will wear away, or they wore away, because you keep using and you keep rubbing the rubber sole against the floor. Okay, back to our question. We're interested in pain here and how the pain or this feeling is reduced, right? So the closest option that we'll have is number 2, when something wears off. Okay, that means it gradually disappears. All right. All right, let's go on to question 12. After you have a clear idea of the play, we can start thinking about the cast dash. So the keyword is clear idea. So this is like your big idea, and then you can see that this cast, that means the people who are acting, they are part of this idea, part of this big idea of like what they want to perform. So looking at the options, the first one is accordingly. So accordingly means appropriate to circumstances. Next, when you talk about something is expectantly, it means that you have some excited feelings about something that is going to happen. Next, presumably. This means that something you think is likely to happen. Next, simultaneously means something is happening at the same time. All right, so in this case here, we're looking at how the cast, after coming out of the cast, after you have a clear idea of the play, is a sequential, step-by-step thinking process. As such, we will consider this to be very appropriate to the circumstances, which is planning of the play. So that will be our answer. Okay, I hope everyone's following so far. Now let's take a look at question 13. The young actor dashed the question by talking about something that was absolutely unrelated. So we are looking at how he don't want to answer the question. That's why he talked about something that is unrelated. And now that you see, he's trying to avoid this question. Okay. So looking at the options given to us, the first one is alert. That means you are quick to notice unusual circumstances. Next, evaded. This means that you escape something, or you avoid something. Avert means you prevent undesirable effect. Escape means you break free from something. Okay, so in this case here, when we talk about trying to choose, you the very fact that you choose not to answer the question, it means that you are trying to evade the question. Okay, so it's number 2. Now let's take a look at question 14. She's always giving orders and expecting others to obey. No one likes her because of her dash manner. So the keyword is here, giving orders. That means she's trying to like boss everybody around. She expects people to obey also. That means you don't want to hear what people have to say. You just want them to um, say yes to you, agree to you, do what you tell them to do. Okay, so it's the idea that you are very bossy. Now looking at our options, first one here is hasty, means something is done with excessive speed. That means you are rushing to complete something. Next one is reckless. Reckless means you don't worry about the risk or the consequence. You just want to get something done, no matter how dangerous it is. Impulsive means that you do something without planning. So let's say we call about impulsive buying. That means you just buy something without thinking about like how much you will spend, these kind of things like that. Next, imperious. This means that you are very arrogant and bossy. Okay, and if you look closely at our options, you give people orders, you are very, and you expect other people to follow without questioning, without ensuring that they are happy to follow. This means that you are very bossy. So the answer will be number 4. All right. Okay, let's take a look at question 15. Tim decided to dash and face his fear of water by jumping off the boat into the sea. So the keyword is here. You want to face your fear. So you are trying to do something that is uncomfortable that probably you don't like. Okay, so looking at our options, the first one is bite the bullet, which means that you force yourself to do something unpleasant. All right, so based on the way I write, sometimes you may not be able to see the words all at one go, so I urge you to be more patient. Okay, I'll give you sufficient time to read the information. Next, when we talk about making a comeback, it means that you are trying to overcome initial setback. That means you fail at the start, but when you overcome this first failure, you will eventually succeed. Okay, next, you survive the test of time means something is something endures for very long. So we can talk about friendship. Like friendship survives the test of time. That means you continue this relationship for maybe like 10-20 years. Lastly, when you set the wheels in motion, it means you start doing something. Cause a series of actions to start. Okay, you can see fear is unpleasant as I've talked about earlier, and you can see that he faced his fear. That means he just want to overcome it. So the closest option, yes, very good. Muhammad Zamir is number 1. All right. So this is the end of our vocabulary. So I'll just give everyone some time to take in the information. If you need me to further explain certain parts, do sound out. Alright, if there are no further questions, let's move on to our vocabulary close now. What will happen is I'll read through the text with you. We'll look at the underlined words and understand the meaning. Once done, we'll look back at the options and choose the correct answer. Dr. Tan strode into the hospital ward. As he approached the boy who was sitting on the bed, the doctor noticed the patient seemed to show an unusually placid temperament. So for question 16, the word placid here means something is very calm. He has a calm appearance or characteristic. Looks like this young man can do with a psychiatric evaluation. So the evaluation here means a judgment of a situation. So in this case, it's like the boy's mental health, or it can also be an assessment. So you want to see how good or how poorly the boy's mental health is. A middle-aged lady was seated next to the bed, but she was totally engrossed in her knitting. Without further delay, Dr. Tan walked over and introduced himself. So without further delay means something is done quickly or immediately. The boy, however, looked through the doctor and all of a sudden broke into a piercing scream. I can't see, I can't see. Never in his life had he ever witnessed such a the dramatic outburst of hysterical blindness. So dramatic here refers to something that is very sudden. Okay, while outburst looks at the kind of sudden release of strong emotions. So he continues by saying, how long has this been going on? He asked the lady, unable to comprehend the boy's peculiar behavior. Oh, she said nonchalantly, ever since you stepped in front of the television. So nonchalantly means someone is very calm and relaxed. All right. Okay, so this is quite a straightforward text. Now let's take a look at some of the options. The first one, placid. Placid means someone is very calm. Look at the options now. You can see there's already a direct synonym here, which is number 1. And that'll be our answer. But I would like to go through the other options as well, so everybody is aware of why we choose this answer. So calm here means you are not feeling nervous. And you don't have any strong emotions. Next, when you are dazed, it means that you're unable to think properly. And this is due to some sudden circumstance. So for example, if someone is involved in an accident and the person remains dazed, so it's like still trying to recollect, trying to calm down. Now, fatigue means that someone is extremely tired due to physical or mental exertion. Sorry. That means you have used up a lot of your energy on something. Okay, lastly, we have the word nervous. So nervous means that you are easily alarmed or agitated. So it refers to how you are like suddenly very angry or suddenly very annoyed or irritated. Okay, so when it's a direct synonym, we do not need to think so much. We just select the answer. Okay, but usually we are not so fortunate in the case where everything's a direct synonym. Okay, so let's go on to question 17. It tests you on the word evaluation, which refers to some kind of judgment, some kind of assessment. It's like a test of certain bodily functions. So looking at our options, the first one is discovery. So discovery here means that you are in the process of finding information. So if you look at like explorers doing a discovery of a new land, or even the TV channel, Discovery Channel, so you're trying to like find out something new. You're learning. Next is diagnosis. Diagnosis means you identify the nature of illness. So like you are trying to look at the symptoms and determine like what was he suffering from. Okay, thirdly, we have judgment. Judgment means that you come to conclusion after investigation. That means you're trying to find out something, you do tests. After that, then based on the test results, you come up with a decision. Lastly, investigation means you're trying to examine the problem to find the truth. Okay, so for this case here, when we look closely at the evaluation, you're doing it has the idea that you're doing some tests, and through the test you determine and the result, and they have the test will come up with results, and from the results you determine the particular condition the boy is suffering from. Okay, so in this case here, our answer would be number 3, the judgment. Okay, because what we're interested in is that conclusion. And how is this conclusion derived? It is derived from results. All right, so moving on, let's take a look at question 18. So for question 18 here, the word they test you is without further delay. So this means that something is done immediately, quickly. So looking at our options, the first word is impatiently. So impatiently here means that you do something to show annoyance or irritation. All right. Next, instinctive or instinctively means that you do something without conscious thought. So it's something natural. It's a natural instinct. All right. Concurrently means something is done simultaneously. That means there are two different actions occurring at the same time. Lastly, when we have instantaneously, it means something is done instantly, immediately, at once. Okay, and as what we have discussed earlier, our word is without delay. That means something is done at that moment. So the answer would be number 4, instantaneously. Okay, let's move on to question 19. Over here, 19, dramatic outbursts. Dramatic, as I've talked about it earlier, that means something is very sudden. While outburst means that there's a release of emotions, usually very strong emotions of anger, pain, etc. Okay, so looking at our options, question 19. Okay, the first one is unusual outbreak. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to split up the words because they have different meanings, and from there we derive the correct answer. So unusual means something is not common. Okay, and outbreak refers to a sudden occurrence. So we are looking at something that is not common but suddenly happened. Okay, I have an answer from Taylor Swift, number 4. Okay, hold on a while. Number 4 is not the correct answer. Not the correct answer. Okay, so number 2, unexpected surge. Okay, so unexpected, maybe something is not likely had to happen. Okay, then, okay, I put a plus here, means this is the second word, surge. Unexpected plus surge. So unexpected meaning is here, surge meaning will be here. Okay, surge means there's a movement forward. So definitely, because there is no movement as what we are talking about in the text, this will not be the answer. Now look at number 3, exaggerated flare up. Exaggerate means make something worse than it really is. And flare up means a sudden outburst of hostility. Outburst, or you could say an outbreak of aggressiveness. All right. Yes, this is a difficult question, Taylor Swift. Lastly, when you talk about uncontrollable eruption, you're looking at a violent eruption. Here is the kind of the movement of emotions or of materials through an opening. That's why we talk about volcanic eruption. Okay, so back to our question. When we talk about something is a dramatic outburst, we're just looking at the release of emotion is very sudden and it's very unexpected. Okay, so I would say the answer that we are looking at is actually number 3. Okay, so let me explain. Flare up, as we have talked about earlier, it refers to an outburst. It refers to this kind of emotional or feelings related kind of anger. Okay, so that's why outburst can be used together with flare up. Next, when we talk about something is dramatic, very very sudden, very very in a very I would say in a very intense and a very weird way, where something is with very high intensity, we can use exaggerated, because we are looking at that kind of extent is worse than it really is. Okay, the rest of the options here, when we talk about surge, there's no movement, so definitely out. And eruption, you're looking at like ejecting certain materials through an opening, which we can't use here because it's looking at human beings. Okay, so I'll say this is slightly more challenging. And lastly, let's look at question 20. Question 20 tests you on the word nonchalantly. That means someone is very calm and very relaxed. Right, so looking at our options, the first one is readily. Readily means without hesitation or reluctance. So you're doing something willingly. Okay, that's another word. Next, casually. Casually is when someone is very relaxed. Randomly means that means something is done without a conscious decision. Okay. While confidently means that you are certain about your abilities. So in this case here, the answer would be number 2. Because nonchalant has the idea that means you're not worried about anything and you're not really anxious. Okay. So I just give everyone some time to take in the information here before we move on to our next part. All right, everybody. If there are no further questions, let's take a look at our grammar close now. Imagine this. You are sinking your teeth into a delectable cheeseburger. complete with buttery buns, tangy pickles, and a succulent beef patty. As you let the textures and flavors dance dash on your taste buds, the chef comes out to dash and introduces the burger. So the first question is dance dash your taste buds. Okay. The first thing to observe is who is dancing. Textures. So we are looking at the different feelings of like saltiness, sweetness, all these feelings, and they are dancing. And then next thing you observe is dancing. Where are they dancing? This is the location. So you can see the taste buds is not like at just one particular spot of your mouth. It's all around your whole mouth, right? So it's at multiple spots. So when they dance, they will be dancing around the taste buds to show that there are multiple spots. All right. And the chef comes out to dash and introduce the thing. So you can see there's only one person who is eating the burger now, and that's you. So when the chef introduces the burger, it is definitely to you. So that will be our answer for question 30. Okay, you cannot believe your ears. How dash burgers be grown in a laboratory? So we're looking at how something is possible, right? There's this possibility here. Yeah, it's uncertain, and that's why we need to be very careful when we look at our modal auxiliary verb. So in this case, it will be how could the burgers be grown in the lab? Now, why will we use could? It's because over here, the word grown here is in the past tense. In fact, it's actually in the past participle. Or rather, I'll just put it as in the participle because there isn't a had grown, it's just grown. Okay, it's in the participle form, which means that is, something that didn't happen in the present. Okay, that's why we use could and not can. Okay, in 2013, scientists extracted cells dash a cow and artificially developed muscle tissue. So you can see the cow is my source that I obtained the cells from. So it will be from a cow. Okay, dash, they made the rest of the burger with other preservatives. So we are looking at what you call sequential events. So the first thing is they extract the cell first. After they finish extracting the cell, then they continue with making the rest of the burgers with preservatives. So to show this link between step 1 to step 2, we use a conjunction that shows sequence, which is subsequently. Okay. Dash cultivating billions of cells, the first lab-grown burger was created. So you can see which must happen first. You cultivate the cells first, then the burger can be created, right? So you can see to link these two steps together, we'll say after you cultivate, then you can create the lab-grown burger. Despite dash less than stellar taste reviews, the creation was certainly a huge step forward in the efforts of production. So over here, we are looking at the burger, just one singular subject, and how it's not really nice. So you'll say despite its not so stellar taste review. Okay, take note, its with the apostrophe is it is. We're not looking at the possession of something. When we talk about its, we're looking at the possession of something in the possessive form. Okay, in other words. Now we are looking at possessive form because we're looking at its taste. Okay, so next, why would anyone go such length to produce such food? One dash wonder. So we're looking again at a certain possibility. So certain possibility of how one thinks. So we'll say one might wonder. Okay, the reason is our current food system is not sustainable. So with the global population expected to grow dash between 2 and 9 billion globally, our arrangement will not suffice. So you can see this is a estimate. So there's a range of numbers, right? And the author hasn't like pinpoint a certain figure. Is it 4.5, 3.9, or is it 4.2, etc.? We'll say they will grow anywhere between 2 and 9 billion. So it's an estimate, not fixed yet. The numbers are not fixed. All right, that's why we use that. Okay, now you can see question 38. Here, massive acres of land are needed to grow crops and farm animals. Reducing the world's cattle herds dash significantly reduce carbon emissions of methane, a greenhouse gas. So you can see this act will lead to this future event, right? Where the amount of greenhouse gas is reduced. So when we talk about future event, we will use will to show that this event, this result hasn't taken place yet. All right, so if there are no further questions, let's take a look at our editing. Welcome to secondary school life. I know it is quite unnerving the first time you step into the school, as the environment here is very different. Okay, so the first word that they spelled wrongly is unnerving. Let's spell it correctly here. Unnerving. Okay. That's the environment. Environment is also spelled wrongly. You must be dashed by the number of subjects you need to take. So overwhelmed here would be in the past tense. Okay. Why? Because before you even step into the school, you already have known that you need to take quite a number of subjects, and therefore the act of feeling very burdened would already occur. Alright? But I'm sure that you will learn to adapt and assimilate to our school culture in no time. So assimilate is spelled this way. Dash the school hours are longer, we still have to make time for exercise and play. So you can see over here we are looking at a particular noun here. school hours and how these school hours have lengthened. So this is like your verb. So this is two are your clause. So instead of despite, you need to use although, because this is the only conjunction that can show contrast and be used together with a clause. Now look at exercise. Exercise is also spelled wrongly. So this is how you spell it. Exercise. School life is more than just about homework and exams. As adolescents, we may get bored dash than adults do. So adolescence is spelled this way. Adolescence. That means teenagers is another word for it. And how you be bored more, when there's more is comparison. And following the comparison, you need to use the adverb form, which is easily. Okay, to show that this action of being bored is occurring all the time. Hence, activities like sports, games, and the arts help build character. While dash in sports tone our muscles, they also teach us resilience. So you can see the act of, there's an ongoing action here, right? That means playing the sports, and this ongoing action will lead to this cultivation of values. So we'll say while participating in sports. Okay. Resilience is spelled this way. Okay, this is how we develop into better people and become an inspiration dash others. So when you want to be inspiration, the relationship is others. So we are trying to motivate the people around us for something. So to show this relationship between ourselves and others around us, we will say inspiration to others too. Okay, so over here we need to change a preposition. At the same time, we also get to make our new friends. Dash me, life in secondary school is more bearable when you have friends to appreciate and support you. So over here we will say, believe me. Okay, because the whole text is in present tense. So I'll just give you some time to take in the information before we move on to our next part. All right. Now let's move on. So we'll look at some comprehension close questions now. Arch back and stand tall, blend with the surroundings. Run. Dash are just some ways the animals protect dash in the wild. So you can see that there are multiple ways here. Arch back, stand tall, blend, run. So to show all these multiple actions, we'll say these are the ways. Okay. And now we talk about animals, and we're referring to the animals fending for their own bodies. So we'll say themselves. So over here, we're interested in an intensive pronoun. So we're trying to emphasize that the animals are self-sufficient and do things on their own. Okay, some of these means of protection are well known. Dash are more subtle and downright bizarre. So you can see some. So when you have some, the other word that we will need to use is others, because we are looking at the variety of protection ways. All right. So you can see, for example, some species of ants will self-explode to protect their dash. So when the ants, they self-explode, it's not so much to protect themselves, because the ants will die already. But I think what's more important is the ants are protecting others. Protect others. And what's the other people called? Is we are looking at the particular colony. Okay, so then you read further, they also protect the colony from danger. So these two already will tell you the clues. All right. So this protective action kills the ants, but it can dash the colony from danger. So you can see it's protecting already. they talk about protective. So the act of what's the act that they will do? It's very clear cut. It will be to protect the colony. Okay. The Texas horned lizard will squirt blood from its eyes at a predator to keep dash safe. So now we are referring to this singular subject here, and how this singular subject will do something for again its own self. So it will be to keep itself safe. Okay, again, we are interested in the intensive pronoun here. A sea cucumber expels its protective organs from its anus to protect itself, and in some cases, the sea cucumber's intestines can be dashed to predators, effectively killing them. So the main thing is here, effectively killing them. We suggest that the intestine will be, you could say, toxic to predators or poisonous. So that means the predators, when they eat such organs, they will also die. Okay. So now, this defense mechanism may seem wild, but they are crucial in the survival of animals and their own kind. You can see that these mechanisms will increase the survival rate. So we'll say to ensuring the survival, okay, and their own kind. For animals to live enough to reproduce and continue their species, they need ingenious strategies. So you can see they need to grow up to a certain age before they can reproduce, right? So there's this time period. So in order to show that you need to live for this time period, we will say to live long enough. Okay. Now there are many different in which animals protect themselves from predators. No one mechanism is the most effective. So you can see, we look at the mechanism. So you could say we're looking at different ways, different means. So we are looking at, okay, even say strategy. So we are looking at all these different methods of protection. All right. So no one mechanism is always effective, as predators occasionally find new ways to defend it. Right. Hence, many animals use than one mechanism. So we are looking at how they use multiple, so it's more than one. Okay, it's a very straightforward question. And they use more than one simultaneously over here. So at the same time. At a time. So the idea of simultaneously. Okay, so for example, the hognose snake has camouflage colors that help it dash detections from its predators. But if the predator finds it, the hognose snake will inflate its neck to trick the predator to appear dash than it is. So you can see, when they camouflage themselves, you don't want people to see you. Therefore, they are trying to avoid the detection. Okay, and next, if you look at how they will inflate its neck, that means it will become like the neck will become very big. So that means it will look bigger than itself. So all these I would say are the clues itself don't give you only give you a hint, but the idea is you need to think logically, right? So if it does not work, the hognose snake will dash dead. So you can see the hognose snake can do a lot of things, but he's not dead yet. So this dead is like trying to act only. So how do you act dead? The correct word will be to play dead. All right. Okay, with that, we've come to the end of this part. Let's take a look at synthesis and transformation. So question 66. The basketball players demonstrated an abundance of fighting spirit. They won the tough match. So you see, by here shows the method. And what method is it? They have tenacity. So it will be by demonstrating an abundance of fighting spirit. The basketball players won the tough match. Okay, straightforward question. Now let's take a look at question 67. Mr. Bala donated a large sum of money to charities. He was featured on the newspaper. So this is, since it's used to show reason. So you can see the reason for being featured on newspaper is because donated large sum. So it will be Mr. Chan, Mr. Bala was featured on the newspaper since he donated a large sum of money to charities. All right. Now, question 68. We could finish all the household chores because the children had us. Had it not been for the children's help. So over here, we are looking at the key success factor. So without this factor, you will not be able to achieve your outcome, which is finish the household chores. Okay, we could not have finished all the household chores. Now let's take a look at question 69 now. Let us know by tomorrow when you're ready to start the training, my parents told me. So now we are looking at a direct speech to reported speech. So first thing is to identify the things you need to change. Then, by the next day, when so you are, that means I was ready. Sorry, not I was, but I would be ready. Okay, to start the training. So my parents told me to let them know by the next day when I would be ready to start the training. Okay, so for this case here, my parents told me. So you can see this is really in the past tense. So when I want to move back from past to participle, that's why it will be would be. Okay, so you need to be very clear on the tense, not to look at just this direct speech alone, but you need to look at the who is talking to what, those the words that are outside the direct speech, right? Lastly, let's take a look at question 70. All the students enjoy the Teachers' Day concert immensely. So each and every one of the students enjoys, because each means you need to have is considered a singular subject. Okay, enjoys the Teachers' Day concert immensely. All right. I'll just give everyone some time to take in the information here before we move on to our next section. Okay. Okay, so if there's no further questions, thank you so much for joining me this evening on our Writers at Work TikTok. I'm Teacher Nathan. And if you have any questions regarding P5 English, or like to learn more with me, do join me next week from Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Fridays. We'll be looking at more P6 papers, and they are from 2024, the latest ones. We need to know the latest trends so that we can be well prepared and start the year right. All right, so if you have friends in O-level in the secondary school, do encourage them to join me at 12 p.m. on the 4 days next week. We'll be looking at secondary school papers as well. If not, I'll see you guys on TikTok as and when you come online. Bye-bye.